Daly.
Speaker, my right honourable friend knows through our many conversations about planning that there's much to welcome here in my view with this bill, but there's also much to improve, and the general feeling in my constituency is the planning system is not currently working for anybody. Limited time today, so I'm going to choose 4 quick points. I passionately believe we've got to scrap housing targets and make them advisory and look at ensuring that infrastructure plans are up front. We're in the invidious situation in the Stroud constituency where local people are desperately worried about the emerging local plan coming from Stroud Council, but they feel ignored. Sharpness, Wadden, Cam, Winslow, Whitminster, amongst others, they're facing extensive thousands of houses of new homes going into their areas, but they've got no confidence that the infrastructure will be in place to assist the people that are going to live in those homes or the people already there and avoid chaos. And there's no confidence, unfortunately, that the council's paying attention to the consultation. In some cases, consultation responses have been lost. Any challenges to the council about bona fide issues are often met with blaming the government targets, even though the government says that the councils have got control and the planning inspectorate is in the mix of all that as well. I ask that we make the housing targets advisory so there's no confusion over who is responsible and we can do what is needed for our local areas, and make the infrastructure plans and infrastructure levy up front so we can plan properly. And I hope that work is being done to look at what can be done with the planning inspectorate now. On dilapidated buildings, I really welcome the work of the member for Stoke North. Seeing legislation come through to deal with empty buildings that are an eyesore to auction properties, as the Secretary of State was saying, or strengthening rules on compulsory purchase is really important. We're blessed with some beautiful old mills that represent our industrial history, but we're also blessed with some really ugly buildings, and one springs to mind, namely Tricorn House, that has dogged our area for decades, and very, very sadly a young boy lost his life at the property last year. So we feel very passionately that we want to see change there. It's obvious to me that the fastest route to change is a private sale or a private demolition, and I would be very happy to press the button if I am allowed. But locally, people do know I'm working as hard as I possibly can to move this forward, and the owner says he's committed to sell, but nothing actually happens. So it's useful for me to be able to say now that winter is coming, or at least legislation is coming. On existing planning permissions, I was hoping for and actually expecting more in this bill to deal with the developments and the land banking and the permissions that have already been given. They should be homes by now in many cases. Communities have already gone through the pain, they've gone through the stress of the planning arguments, so to not see the homes go up ends up being an additional slap in the face. And on environmental matters, very quickly, housing developments like the one in Great Albury, they're fabulous, wonderful homes, but even a gentleman I spoke to living there who loves his home agreed that new homes are being built now without the solar, without electric charging points, without insulation, and with gas boilers are likely to need to be retrofitted. Where is the mandating of developers? Because I think they've probably had their chance. Let's future-proof the housing stock and stimulate the market. And secondly, I would just ask that my right honourable friend look at my wetlands APPG proposal that we are going to implement Schedule 3 of the Flood and Water Management Act. This is legislation already there since 2010. It will help with surface runoff, it will help with flooded, it will help with the sewage issues, and we can get this done without too much of a sweat from his department. Thank you.